welcome to our weekly Bible study, continuing our series in Ecclesiastes, and we are looking at Ecclesiastes 7:25 through 29, and then verse 8, or chapter 8 and verse 9 as well. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video, read chapter 7:25 through 29, and then just kind of skip ahead a little bit and just read verse 9 of chapter 8. All right, ready? We'll go ahead and jump on in. So have you ever been frustrated with people? Have you ever been frustrated with how the world works and how humanity is functioning? I think the preacher here recognizes that frustration and has some reality for us, but then also in his way points us to some hope as well. So first of all, I want to highlight verse 28 of chapter 7 and verse 9 of chapter 8. So we see the preacher's frustration with people. He's looking for somebody who is upright, and basically he says he can't find anybody. In chapter 7, verse 28, he says, "Which yet my soul seeketh, but I find not. One man among 1,000 have I found, but a woman among all those have I not found." And I don't think the preacher's teaching any kind of misogyny here or that men are better than women. Basically, he's saying, I looked amongst people and I didn't find anybody who was upright. Right? And he continues that frustration with people and how we treat one another and our lack of uprightness in chapter 8 and verse number 9, where he says, there is a time wherein one man ruleth over another to his own hurt. So he is giving us some advice about how to function in the world, how to listen to authority, but he says oftentimes that authority is oppressive and is not upright. So he recognizes the frustration that you and I feel with people. Now, I think in chapter 7, verse 29, he's also pointing out our tendency to then kind of transfer that frustration with people to frustration with God. Maybe you've heard people talk this way. You know, if God was good, why would he let these things happen or people do these things? We have maybe felt this way ourselves. Why doesn't God do something about this situation, this person in my life? And he recognizes that in verse 29 when he draws our attention to the fact that God has made man upright and man is the one who has gone off course. But again, he recognizes that tendency that we have to look at the problems with people, the problems in the world around us at large, and then to kind of transfer that frustration to God. So he's calling out, yes, frustrations with people, but he's also pointing out our tendency to be frustrated with God when the world isn't what we think or know it ought to be. But I think also in verse 29, he is pointing us to exercise some trust in God, right? Because in verse 29, the preacher is not saying that God is the problem. Mankind is the problem. We have gone after many inventions or schemes here in verse number 29. God made us upright, but man has gone after many inventions. So man is the problem, and then ultimately that points us to the fact that God is the answer. And if we would just kind of go through, maybe suss out a little bit of implication from what the preacher's saying. So God made man upright. Man, in his choices, man has fallen. Now, with a Christian understanding here of this passage, God is making man upright. Right? Through the Lord Jesus Christ, he transforms people, changes lives, teaches us how to live in his kingdom as citizens of his kingdom, and he is changing us. He is making people upright. But we also understand there is something greater even than the way God is changing us in the here and now, in that he will make man upright, right? So God has saved us, is saving us, and will save us, past, present, and future. And we have this wonderful hope that with God in heaven, there are no more tears. He corrects all those wrongs. He perfects his creation. And so we can look forward to that. So man is the problem, God is the answer. If God is the answer, then I should trust him rather than being frustrated with him. So what does that look like applied? I've got 2 points of application on what that would look like to trust God. First of all, let's respond to evil with good. There's a tendency in our frustration with people and our frustration with God just to go our own way and to respond to evil with evil. But Romans 8:21 says, "Be not overcome of evil, but overcome evil with good." And so as you walk through the world this week and you encounter some frustrating people and frustrating things, let me encourage you to continue to do good as God gives you opportunity to respond to those frustrations with kindness, with love, with uprightness. But then also, this is pointing us to have this trust in what God will do someday. And so let's put our hope not in the present, although we're doing as much good as God gives us opportunity to do. We're making as much impact on this world as we can. Let's put our hope in eternity, right? And so I would encourage you to talk about heaven, not only to your own heart often, but also to the people around you. So let's, instead of allowing people to cause us to be frustrated with God, let's allow that frustration to point us to a trust in God. Well, I've got some discussion questions in the description for you, so check those out. And looking forward to hearing about your frustrations and about how God is teaching you to trust in Him in the midst of those things. All right, well, God bless you, and we'll see you next time as we continue in Ecclesiastes.